April 1943. I wanted to go in when I was 17, but my father wouldn't sign for me. I had to wait till I was 18 to sign up on my own. Well, the thought of joining the Navy, I didn't want to go in the Marines. I wasn't tough enough or gung-ho enough, and I sure and hell didn't want to go in the Army. That was the Navy. Take care of that. Well, I eventually made radio in a second as a radio operator, not a technician, radio operator. That took a little time. Initially, I was on the LSC 653. It was built in Ambridge, Pennsylvania, up near Pittsburgh. Took it down to Ohio, Mississippi. Eventually went over to the islands in the Pacific. Not really. Now, when we got over there, I suppose in a way we did, because when we got over there, most of the fighting had been done. We got over there the last days of Okinawa. So it was, the biggest thing we accomplished on that ship was to get out of Truk Island and bring the remnants of the Japanese army down to Truk Island back to the homeland. I think when we were out at Bikini, I don't think there was a heck of a lot of information that was disposed at our disposal when we shipped out of Frisco. And we went out there on a rescue, a salvage rescue tug, ocean going, and we didn't know a darn thing about an A-bomb. What's an A-bomb? What's radiation? Never heard of it. We're out there, they had what they call a dead fleet. It was all these ships from various nations, including ours and Japanese, German. They were all anchored, and that was their target ships. And we knew we were going to be, a bomb was going to be dropped, but we didn't know a hell of a lot about it, other than we couldn't watch the explosion of the bomb because of eye problems. Most of us that weren't actually on watch were on the fantail, and as soon as the bomb exploded, we could watch the mushroom rise to whatever height it went. Very impressive. We were there for January 2nd was the overhead test, dropped from a B-19, B-29, whatever they had at the time. And the second test was the latter part of July. It was underwater demolition in the lagoon. A third test was scheduled, but Mr. Truman called it off. That was supposed to be at sea. He figured the military overacted. There was a lot of talk from those that went, from those aboard the tug that actually went aboard the target ships. There was a lot of talk about radiation. They had various animals, goats, etc., that had suffered. But the radiation, as far as we know, the only thing we ever heard was the Geiger counters started clicking as we approached the ships. And again, they left them on, and as we left the area, they'd recede. But that was a radioactive activity, and we knew nothing about radioactive radiation. No, it was just a bomb, and hey, another bomb went off. We had no idea what the implications were going to be. We went to that spot that were not educated or informed. But there were plenty of physicists aboard the various ships, the live fleet that went in, and they're all dressed in their asbestos coverings and so on. They knew. I can remember being anchored 14 miles away from the target ships on the overhead, and probably the same location on the underwater demolition. But it was impressive, but at the time, but after it happened, so much nothingness. I never get into that. I can't answer. You're the only one that's ever asked me about this situation. There's a book inside the kids have had here for years. The name of it is The Bomb, and it's all about the Bikini. And of course, I read it, and I followed it. I knew what day to day what the hell was going on at the time. But it told how the Navy went in and baloneyed the poor natives out of their residence and so on. You'll be back in 2 months. Well, how many years has it been? How many tens of years, decades has it been since they can't go back? Well, I think I got to approve of Truman's using the bomb, if that's what you're getting at, because I think it would have been to invade the Japanese island. I think I'm convinced that it would have been a long, murderous task. Many hundreds of thousands killed on both sides, of course. Well, there's one more thing. When I went to service finally in April of '43, my father, who had 3 boys at the drafting age, my father took a life insurance policy out on my older brother and I, which would be probably the ones more likely to go, at December 1st, 1941. Well, Pearl Harbor, December 7th. So Mr. Horn knew enough to cover his kids. Amen.